Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of Experience Kills, episode 13, the first of the year 2021. I am your host, Ben, and joining me today, we have Cameron.
Hello.
And we have Rob.
Good morning. Hello. Or good afternoon,
and I wanna...
whenever you're listening to this.
Middle of the night, 2 a.m. sesh, you know.
Indeed.
With the Experience Kills, guys. I want to address the elephant in the room straight away. Richard is not here because of, some very unfortunate turn of events. Normally, our first episode of the year would be our Game of the Year episode, and we're still going to do that, hopefully next week. However, we've had to delay it because Richard and his whole family have contracted COVID-19, part of this awful pandemic. We're in the UK. We're currently in lockdown number 3. But this thing is real. This thing sucks. They're doing okay. Don't worry. I mean, there's no obvious risks or big issues right now, but our love and our support and our feelings go out to them and go out to everyone suffering at this time for myriads of reasons. And we aren't going to spend loads of time dwelling on this, but that's why Richard isn't here. But we hope to have him back next week. We hope to do Game of the Year next week. But this week we're going to do a relatively normal show, but we're going to look forward to 2021 a little bit as well. And just get into some games, because we've all missed doing this for the last month where we've been off. We're approaching the 3-year anniversary of Experience Kills next month, which is a big deal. We've hit some huge milestones in 2020 as well. And I think, I think we should just get into it. If you guys wanted to touch on anything before we start, go ahead.
No, other than, get well soon, Rich. Can't wait to have a 4-person podcast. We don't get to do them very often, but it's good to have the entire gang together.
The chaos.
The chaos that is, me included with 3 other people is
you are the agent. You're the main agent of chaos.
I'm the chaos here.
You're a big agent of chaos, Cam. Rob?
Yeah, echoing both of your statements there. Really, just best wishes to Rich to get back with us soon, and that his family is healthy and happy by the end of coming through what must be a very terrifying ordeal for them. So,
yeah.
It's
really
crazy.
Sucks.
It's crazy to think that an entire year is basically, it's like a wasted year that we've had because of the virus. There's literally nothing that we're gonna do other than potter around the house and play games, which sounds great on paper most of the time. But alongside work and everything, it's
one of these things. When you want to potter around and play games all the time around the house, that's fine. When you have to because you have no other option, that's when it starts to wear thin.
No, it's true. Yeah, it's when you're stuck. I was talking to my wife about this, and it's been so long since we had a holiday, since we were able to get away and just take a break from normal life. You just feel like you're always in that same cycle of work, weekend, and it just never stops. And of course, everything is made more difficult, especially in a work situation, by being in a lockdown. And it's just. I guess we're looking at the vaccines with some hope for an end to this, but more powerful strains, more infectious strains, seem to be popping up daily. I don't know when we're going to get out of this, and it's awful.
I came quite close to actually having COVID myself. I went to visit my family about 3 weeks ago as a part of just a family walk. Found out a couple of days ago my dad has positive for COVID, and now my sister as well. Don't know what my mum has got it. It's like fucking Superwoman or something. But yeah, they've got it, and I kind of missed it by that much kind of scenario, So it's kind of a nuts to think about how close it could have been,
Yeah, I mean, and it sucked the timing. It's happened as we've just come out of Christmas and New Year. We're all hopeful about this year. Naively optimistic, I would say, about this year. However, that is the feeling a lot of people had, and immediately we were slapped around the face with no, wake up, bruvs. This is still real serious shit. And if anything, right now it's more serious than it was in March and April. It's considerably more infectious, and it's affecting more and more people. Like Cam just said, with Richard, that are getting this, and it seems more and more inevitable that you will catch it. So just do what the government tells you. Keep your distance, wash your hands. Don't take any unnecessary risks. Stay at home if you can, and look, don't ignore it. Properly pay attention to these regs and stuff. But let's not go into that too much. Did you guys? How was your Christmas? Did you get any nice gifts? And gaming related. And I almost don't want to mention this to Rob because I already know his side of this, which is fucking tragic. So it's this is the effect of COVID. But my wife went out of her way to make it a big one for us, which was lovely. But how about you guys? Did you have a nice break? Did you feel like it was even a break? I mean, how was Christmas and New Year's for you guys?
Oh,
cool. So
I was letting Cam go first, but that's fine. He is gestured. I was quite lucky.
We're rusty.
It's
been a month.
I was quite lucky in the end for Christmas, considering my original plan was to see family over Christmas. Unfortunately, my family lived in the Tier 4 area, so the week before Christmas, that was all put into Tier 4, so I could no longer see my family. And then handily some local friends stepped in and said, well, you've got Christmas food. We don't see anyone because we both work from home, so come here. So I just managed to get in before I moved into Tier 4 on Boxing Day morning. On Christmas Day, I spent Christmas round at theirs. Presents-wise, I was introduced to the world of Hades on Christmas Day. My friend Adam, shout out to Adam here, he sat me down on his sofa and said, well, give Hades a try. Go on, give it a try. And I bought it 20 minutes later. It was
we might talk about that a bit later, I think. And it's definitely going to come up next week on Game of the Year.
Oh, 100%. Very much. Other than that, I got a board game that I'm a big fan of. That's come through. I got from family recently this week. That's just been delivered by FedEx or by UPS.
What was the game?
Scythe. I actually have the base game of Scythe now, which I did not have.
Oh, you didn't have the base game?
No, I had all the expansions, all the ancillary bits, but I didn't have the actual core game because I just never got around to buying it.
Sweet.
So yeah. What about yourself, Cam? How was your Christmas?
Dismal, to be perfectly honest. I was already in like a Tier 4 area, like the week before everything happened, basically. I was really looking forward to it. I've got family. Both sides of the family were like 10 minutes away, so we were going to go to partner's parents' house in the morning. We all unwrap our presents together and stuff. Then we go to my parents in the evening for dinner, and all those plans just table flipped. And I was really looking forward to it because I hadn't seen any of them for weeks at a time because of work and everything. So yeah, it was kind of a really shitty time for me and probably quite a lot of the country as well.
Yep.
So, I mean, don't get me wrong. We had a nice Christmas. We probably spent more money on presents for my son more than anything. I'm not a fussy person to buy for. I don't go, oh, I want this, I want this. It's like, I don't need anything. If I want something, I'll buy it. So it's when someone actually buys me a present and I go, oh, sweet, I didn't think about getting that. That's when it's really nice. But I didn't get any of that sort of thing this year. We just bought toys and stuff to keep him happy during this whole not being able to go out or anything, basically. And then I cooked us like this fat old dinner, and it was brilliant. It's the best thing I cooked in ages.
I don't even want to talk about how much weight I have put on due to last year and lockdowns and not walking about and stuff. So when you say fat old dinner, I'm like, yeah, I eat all that.
The only thing, I mean, the only thing when it comes to like gaining weight, you can tell on the podcast. You used to be able to see sides of the chair. Now you just spread out.
Yeah, I used to be able to get closer to the desk and stuff like. Nah, it's just the COVID spread. I think it's one of those things. And it's the fact for me right now is that I don't even want to like go out for walks. I feel like that's a risk. I don't even want to do any like go outside at all. But I force myself to because otherwise I go completely insane. And I'll be doing that this afternoon if the rain lets up and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just I'm sorry to hear you guys like had such like disrupted Christmas. For me, me and my wife, we don't have a lot of family nearby. My family lives abroad, her family lives abroad, so we don't have those plans. So we were never going to do anything outside of the house anyway. It was always just going to be just the two of us. So in the end, ours was kind of like what it always is. But I can totally understand how disruptive it is for everybody else and how we're all just hoping that a year's time, the end of 2021, we'll have a more normal and happy Christmas for everybody. And my heart goes out to everybody that's been affected and is continued to be affected. So let's move on to the news. And I've gone back a little bit further with the news in games, not like hitting every story, but there was a couple of interesting ones from, say, the start of the year. So I brought them in as well. But we're just going to go through this and talk about some of the gaming stuff that's happened to just try and dissuade our brains from mulling on lockdown. So yeah. bringing the joy times.
Right. I'd settle for a lift of lockdown by March, because then at least when I turn 30, I can have a party. That's all I'm asking for.
I must
Charlie,
admit, I would want it done by April, so I don't have a second birthday in lockdown. That would be rather nice.
Okay, you're just really young, the two of you. I don't know.
That would be my 29th.
Oh
so,
God! I
yeah.
just turned. Over the Christmas break, I turned 37. So
All right, Gramps, Jesus.
there is that.
Come on, Grandad.
Right. Right. This is cool. Epic, right? Epic be epic. Couldn't be more epic. They're obviously exploding because of things like Fortnite and the Epic Store, bigger than ever, hugely successful, engine business, the work. So they're going to buy a new headquarters. What do you buy? What do you buy? I'm going to buy a mall. Epic bought a mall, and it's going to take a few years, but they can convert it into their new like HQ in the US. How cool is that? Like a flipping mall.
It's like a full-blown shopping center, isn't it? Like,
all right, British boy. Yes, basically it is. Yeah.
oh, sorry.
Sorry, we didn't realise you were from America.
You guys never been to a mall? You've been to the States. You must have been to a mall.
No,
okay.
I didn't see the point.
That's wound you back in right away, hasn't it?
But you've been to the States though, yeah?
Yeah,
No,
I know Rob hasn't, but Cam has. You never went to visit a mall?
No, I mean we didn't need to. We were there to see the sights and stuff. Not
They're kind of like shopping centers on steroids, right? There are smaller ones, and there are like different types of them. There's strip malls, open air malls, but like you've watched Stranger Things, right? So the Starcourt Mall in Stranger Things.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not talking to Rob because Rob doesn't do pop culture, it would seem. But like only plays Magic the Gathering. That's what he does in his basement. But basically, yeah, it's the Starcourt Mall in Stranger Things. So everything, there's more like Wonder Woman 84, which has just come out. No, in the same mall actually, shot it in the same mall. That's what they're like. So they're just full of like all the chain stores that we'd see on the high street. They put them all in one big place. There's loads of them all around the country. They're not obviously they're all failing right now for obvious reasons. So looking to sell, looking to be adapted. So Epic are going to change this mall, full of shops into their headquarters. And I'm like, that'd be the maddest place to work. So it's like, I'm going to the meeting room. Oh, which meeting room are you going to? I'm just heading off to Hot Topic. The Hot Topic meeting room, and then we're going to go to the Yankee Candle store. That's the meeting at 2:00, and it's like I really hope they keep the branding on like some of the stores or something.
Did you choose Yankee Candle there because it's a mall in America? Just out of curiosity.
Well, Hot Topic is another one from America, so I was trying to use correct references. Yes,
I'm sure they'll be able to convert it nicely and convert it well, but at the same time, like, surely there are better suited spaces. Surely.
I think they're going to knock a lot of it down. They're going to modernize a lot of it. They're going to refurbish it all. That's why it's taking years. It's going to be years before they actually open it up as headquarters. But at the same time, isn't that smart though? Isn't that cost effective? Rather than just buying a huge plot of land, building from scratch, and all the carbon effect that has, and the pollution effect that has. Instead, it's a bit more. Let's revitalize a thing rather than. Build a whole new one. So I think that's pretty cool.
Another way to look at it is that these shopping centres, these malls, are they usually in the middle of towns, though? Or middle of cities? Are they usually in the outskirts in America?
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah, you don't find them in cities and towns, really.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's like, if that was like in the middle of a city and that's like a staple point, that would be like a giant middle finger to the town kind of thing. It's like I don't know. EA set up a London headquarters by completely refurbishing Hamley's toy shop. A staple of London. They just go, no, we need it for our workers to create a new way to make child gambling happy.
Yeah, I think this is the difference between the UK and the US. It's not like it's it's more like how we have big box retailer stuff outside of towns, like where you find your PC Worlds and your Currys and all that crap.
Parks.
Yeah, it's more like that. So there's no real kind of
That's
like
good.
connection to it. There's no sort of historical or like cultural connection to this thing. It's just a big bit of area. It was already a failing mall, I might add. It wasn't like they bought one that was doing well. It was a place that nobody was going to. Most of it was closed down, that sort of thing. So that they were looking at it. Yeah, it's in North Carolina is where they're doing this. There's some good pictures of it. I'll be linking to in the show notes as well if you want to get an idea of the size of it, the scale of this, which is really, really cool. But I think it's pretty badass, to be honest. You have to remember, right? Put it in context, right? Microsoft's HQ in Redmond, right? It's so big. It has its own zip code, right? It has its own doctors, its own dentist, It has its own like supermarket. It has it literally is like a town they've built, right? That's just from Microsoft. So
That is
Epic
Microsoft compared to Epic, though.
but Epic isn't that far off, bro. I mean, like you might. They are a bit smaller, but their popularity, their surge because of Epic Store and Fortnite, they are absolutely massive right now. So I think
what they
on
just
a
have
scale,
to hope is that the bubble for Fortnite doesn't burst.
well, we were talking about this, weren't we? Last year was Fortnite's turning into bloody the Oasis, Ready Player One. So it's like the way it's going. It's every game is going to be in Fortnite. You know, every property will be in Fortnite.
There's nowhere
Then
for it
the
to
world
go.
ends. The world ends.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, that's the apocalypse. Cool.
That's it. That's the apocalypse. There'll be no new media. We will just Fortnite, and that's all we will do.
It's funny thing. I mean, like I've seen a couple of different areas. You know, like here in Guildford, where I live, was the Lionhead Studios, famous for Fable and whatnot. You know, and what's cool is that like in local areas, you can see some of the roads around like Guildford and Surrey area. Some of them are kind of utilized as towns. Like there is a Bowerstone Road in Guildford, which is something like in Fable, like main area, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And EA section of Criterion Games, I think, is over here in Guildford as well. As well as the guys who I believe they made the Man of Medan. I've forgotten currently the company name. You know, there's a lot of them around Guildford. And like the difference, because I got to have a tour around Lionhead Studios when I was quite young, and it's quite a small little area on like a business park, research park near us. But compared to like the big building that is like the EA like section as well, it's huge difference between the two. Like the EA one's like all glass front, and you know there's a huge like artwork on like the side of like the entrance hall for like Burnout Paradise a few years ago and stuff like that. But Lionhead was like,
well, that's okay because Lionhead doesn't exist anymore. So
that hurts still. Okay, it still hurts.
Peter pulled the plug, didn't he? So yeah, that's yeah. I miss Lionhead. They were always interesting, very British video games that were very unique, and yeah, Microsoft obviously is bringing back Fable at some point in probably 2022 or 23, but it won't be quite the same, will it?
Talking of things that exist, however, Lucasfilm Games.
Oh, we're skipping to that one, are we?
Yeah, skip down to that one.
I've been quite.
Why are we skipping to that one?
I noticed a good segue opportunity.
I mean, you said talking of things that exist. I mean, that was the most nebulous segue I've ever seen.
That's fine. We'll retract the order. Come on, Ben.
No,
let's
it's too late.
segue.
You've committed now.
Yeah.
You've committed now. But yeah, we've got kind of three connected stories around this that kind of happened over the course of about a week or so in January, start of January. And yeah, this is cool. First of all, we found out LucasArts kind of being resurrected as Lucasfilm Games after it being shuttered by Disney a few years back, which is exciting news in and of itself. The fact that they're bringing back that kind of overriding kind of editorial control of the Star Wars properties and the Lucas properties, I should say, as will become very evident as we continue through this story. And then we got the news that came out of Bethesda, which I think is probably the most exciting one because of what it could mean, which is Bethesda are doing an Indiana Jones games. And this is going to be Machine Head Games, who are kind of under the Bethesda umbrella, who are going to be putting out this Indiana Jones games. And well, who owns Bethesda?
Microsoft.
Yeah.
Does that make them an indie developer?
What do you mean, an indie developer?
Indie.
Yeah, I guess it does.
That took a second.
It did take a second.
I love a good pun, but oh Jesus,
he's so bad at those. It's just
awful. That one hurt.
It really hurts. It does hurt. It does hurt. And I mean, the fact is, yes, very good, well done.
Thank you.
But Indiana Jones, Machine Head Games, who made the Wolfenstein games, which are I think brilliantly irreverent. Very European kind of like just we hate Nazis, let's fuck up Nazis, which is just brilliant about them. I love them so much for that.
Yeah, I'm cool with that
and really good shooters. And yeah, Indiana Jones, man. And there's not been an Indiana Jones game in a long time.
I think the last Indiana Jones game was a Lego one.
Yeah, but
let's not talk about that because that was the Crystal Skull game.
Is that based around that storyline?
It covered the first three as well, Lego and D.
Yes, I know, but it had Crystal Skull, so it was terrible.
Oh, it
Stop
had that other film that happened to share some names, but actually wasn't related to Indiana Jones in any way, shape, or
That one,
form, right?
yeah.
So this is going to be an original story, but of course there is news that Harrison Ford is doing a new Indiana Jones film. There is a new Indiana Jones film in production. So fingers crossed, better than that thing I've heard about. I'm not sure that's real. Is that
No.
not just fanfic? I'm not
It
sure.
was a figment of our collective imaginations.
Yeah, yeah, not good. It's a shame as well because Indy in the 50s doing alien stuff, such a good idea, but then just such a bad film. But anyway, but yeah, so that game's getting made. It's going to be a long way out, good few years. But yeah, like I said, Bethesda, Xbox, Microsoft, exclusive. I've got to say, probably exclusive, isn't it?
See,
surely.
This is the point that I raised last year when Bethesda was bought by Microsoft. We're gonna see exclusivity. And you were like, no, we won't. It's fine. They'll stick with it. They won't do that. And now you're turning around and going, oh, exclusivity, yes.
No, you see, you're putting words in my mouth there, Rob. No, I never said that. What I said was talking about existing franchises.
Okay.
So I always said my argument was always that stuff like Fallout and Elder Scrolls, which are existing franchises on previous multi-platform platforms, may still stay like that. That's what I said. But it's a case of new IP may not. But we're not dealing with original IP here. We're dealing with a franchise. We're dealing with something that existing IP that is a licensed deal. So what does that mean? The announcement's interesting as well because there was no mention of the exclusivity with Xbox in any of this news. Nobody touched on it. Nobody mentioned it. And I think that's curious. And I think that says something, that there are deals being done, that people are, the money men are looking at this.
See,
and it's not been confirmed.
I think they haven't made any decision as to exclusivity yet.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah. They'll probably decide that in a year and a half's time when they're ready to start producing trailers for it.
It's difficult because it's a business decision, isn't it? It's like, if you make it exclusive, you limit your potential sales, right? So do you want to do that, or do you want to have an Xbox game made by an Xbox studio show up on the PlayStation 5?
But then how does something like Game Pass influence sales? Because surely people aren't going to buy it because they've got it on Game Pass. Because if it's day one to Game Pass, as I believe a lot of Microsoft acquired studios do release
first-party games are on Game Pass day one.
So that's got to impact sales as well. So how does that metric work its way into it too? So
my question is, though, if it comes out on PlayStation 4 and Xbox, either way, doesn't Microsoft make money anyway?
Well, I mean, yeah, they sell it on PlayStation. Of course they do, yeah.
They'd make less if they made it exclusive.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. Yeah, if you limit your platforms, you limit your potential sales. It's just this weird situation. Do you lose though? Do you lose loyalty? Do you lose consumers that are Xbox because of decisions like this? So it's like, does that matter? I mean,
I could see them potentially doing it because you've got things like Final Fantasy, which I believe is the new Final Fantasy game, 16, I think we're up to now. That's going to be exclusive to PlayStation for a while and then come to PC later. Has it been confirmed that it's even coming to Xbox? So it could be that they would follow a similar model with something like Indie.
You have that difficult thing. It's still different because it's not a licensed property. So you have this situation where it will come to Xbox, Final Fantasy, but the marketing deal at this point early in the day is with PlayStation. So they just don't talk about the other platforms. It's just not talked about because they're marketing via Sony. So it's all this all the kind of politics, the deals, the money, timed exclusivity over exclusivity. What happens because this huge publisher and developer is now owned will be owned wholly. The deal is still going through by Microsoft, and I think it's curious. I mean, the other thing to mention with the indie game is that it's being led by Todd Howard. So he is kind of overseeing the production of this, Mr. Fallout. So he is deep Bethesda, and he's now going to be working with Machine Heads on this particular game. And does this also mean, by the way, that we aren't getting another Wolfenstein for a while? Or are they splitting teams? Or we don't know a lot of this. It's still very early. It was a little teaser, no in-game, nothing like that. No dates really, other than some nebulous 2023, 24 kind of time frames. But I'm excited though, because I'm a massive indie guy. I'm a huge fan of those films. I'd love to see a proper next-gen cinematic. Let's show Uncharted. Let's show Tomb Raider how it's done. Let's use the originator of that whole concept and be better than both of
I'll
those.
say Indy was clearly the first Uncharted. Like he was really
inspired both of those.
Yeah,
The original
100%.
Nathan Drake. Yeah.
Yeah.
There'd be no Nathan Drake, there'd be no Lara Croft without Indiana Jones. Just
what I'm
wouldn't
infinitely
exist.
more excited for is Ubisoft's Division studio developing an open world Star Wars game.
Yes. Now this is very exciting news because it's I'm just trying to look at the name of the studio for that. Is it Motive? I'm trying to remember
I believe so.
No, Massive. Sorry, Massive Entertainment. Yeah. So the guys made behind the Division 2. Big fan. I'm a big fan of Division games. Absolutely love those worlds. Fascinating milsim kind of like milieu with these post-apocalyptic settings, in these beautifully rendered cities. Yeah, let's see them do Star Wars, open world Star Wars. Bring it on. Please. That is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fascinating. There's some negativity around this because obviously Ubisoft are not most loved at the moment with everything that went down with them last year, due to the internal situations with their politics and their gender issues and their horrible sexism allegations, which were all borne out to be true pretty much. I know there is Richard, for example, is boycotting Ubisoft games. He's very reluctant to buy anything Ubisoft at the moment for those reasons. And you might argue that we're seeing these deep price cuts that we already see at Black Friday and Christmas sales on their big releases from last year, like Valhalla and Phoenix Rising, which were already massively reduced. And is that an indicator that they're not selling? So they're cutting the prices to try and boost those sales because they had a very, very poor, sort of last year when it came to perception. So, getting in on Star Wars means two things. It means we're going to get an open world game by probably the best open world developer out there. I think that I'd actually pip them over the guys that are making the AC games. I absolutely love the Division games. The fidelity in those games is unreal. So we're going to get that, but it also means, I guess, EA exclusivity is done after about 7-8 years.
Yes.
So that was a 10-year deal. So clearly something changed at Disney and / Lucasfilm Games. Something has shaken up that whole sort of financial situation. I mean,
I think
EA struggled with Star Wars, didn't they? So
they did. They never managed to nail it. The only game they nailed with it was Fallen Order, because
fantastic.
If we look at Battlefront, Squadrons. Yeah, you are quite right there. My apologies.
Right.
Battlefront 2, I think, was probably their biggest catalyst for this.
Yeah,
it had one of the roughest launches I've seen in a while.
I mean, we've recently redefined rough launch.
Oh, yeah, we have.
Back then, it was... we recently got a new benchmark for that, and we might talk about that later on in the show.
The most downvoted comment or post on Reddit in its history, I think, was Battlefront 2. I'm not sure if it still is. It was insane. And how they structured that game to start with was terrible. I bought it weekend of release. I really enjoyed the single player aspect of it. I occasionally play it now. I would typically go on it for Starfighter Assault, but then Squadrons came out and negated that need entirely. But I think that was probably what turned around and made EA stop and look, because the Star Wars games that they had come out post that event were a single player narrative focused game and Squadrons. Completely different to Battlefront 2 in pretty much every way.
Yeah, no, I think that I mean, they also had struggles with, I think, a couple of projects which were open world Star Wars games that never got off the ground, that ended up getting cancelled and canned and recycled back into the mix and never actually came out. I believe Jade Raymond, famously, of Assassin's Creed, was with EA for some time trying to get that project off the ground, and it never happened. So now they've obviously turned to Ubisoft and been like, right, we really want to do this. We think there's great potential here for one of these styles of games let in the Star Wars universe, and I couldn't agree more. I mean, give me, there's a couple of ways you could approach this, couldn't you? You personally, I'd like the Mass Effect Andromeda model, multiple planets, but I would still be happy with it if it was a diverse enough planet. The problem with Star Wars planets is they're one biome.
Yes.
So it's like, generally in Star Wars, you go to one planet and they're all the same everywhere. So I don't know how you bring enough variety to an open world game.
You have sand.
In one location. Yeah.
Only sand.
Or Felucia. Giant mushroom plants, or like, it's the same thing everywhere. Or flipping from the Force Awakens and the new trilogy, it's the same in them. They're all just like, great, desert kind of red desert stuff, and that's everywhere, and it's like some mountains, and that's all there is. So I don't know what they do. But
I don't know about your experiences with like Star Wars Online. It's the same as well. I was a big gamer of like the Star Wars Online, and I played it for quite a long time. Loads of different planets you have in there as well, but yeah, again, like the biomes are pretty much the same. But then again, they are quite a limited biome anyway. You know, you go to that planet, it is one small section of that planet. Doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't a North Pole where it's cold as hell. You are just, you know, limited to the area that you are, whether it's a linear path or not, which is kind of a downside. I don't know if Mass Effect, again, I haven't got Mass Effect yet.
Soon you will, Cameron.
I'm
Soon
sure
you
I will. I'm sure I will.
Oh,
Apparently,
yes.
we'll touch that in a second, I think. But you know, it's not a huge open world. It is a huge open world. Don't get me wrong, to a point, but it's just you know, not large enough to have these extremes of going from a desert to a, you know, metropolis, and then
yeah, exactly. You're right. This might have been the issue. This might have been the issue, right? So you make your Star Wars open world game in EA. You concept it out. You bring all that variety that you'd expect in a open world game, and then you play it, and you're like, well, this doesn't feel like Star Wars. So that might be the challenge. Is like, how do you bring that, you know, into a world, make it interesting, bring that variety, but still make it feel like Star Wars. So Ubisoft, probably the most experienced open world game developer out there with their various franchises. So, you know, from Far Cry to Assassin's Creed to Watch Dogs, you name it, Division, they've kind of touched on pretty much every kind of open world. So maybe they can do it, but I'm guessing they must have come up with a good pitch, because they wouldn't be, you know, going into this relationship with Lucasfilm Games, which I keep wanting to call Lucasarts, if they hadn't come up with the idea. So, you know, fingers crossed again, it's going to be probably the middle to the end of the bloody generation before we see it, but, you know, a few years away, but fingers crossed it will be good.
The question I put to you guys is like, how do you think that it would play? Like, are you thinking it'd be like a Fallout sort of style? Or do you think you might have an option for multiple characters, like as like a bounty hunter or a Jedi? Because if I'm perfectly honest, if you make it about multiple characters, whether you can play as a trooper or a Jedi sort of thing, most people, you're going to go for the lightsaber wielding, force wielding character, right?
I think a lot of people would. Yeah,
Rob's just going, yes.
Yeah, that's a good question, mate. I think Ubisoft, I don't think it'll be first person. I think it'll be third person based on their experience and what they make. However, that multiple character, single character, that's a very, very good question.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Dragon Age,
Dragon Age is BioWare.
BioWare,
EA.
okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering if they would turn around and do a similar model to that, where perhaps it's something, a party of people that you take on different roles.
But
that you may have
isn't
a Jedi among them, or a Force wielder among them. You may have someone like a Mandalorian among them to do like hypermobile jetpack movement and shooting.
Well, they made this game, and it was called Knights of the Old Republic, and that's what BioWare made, Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
Can we just get a Knights of the Old Republic?
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. Yes, I would be okay.
I think we're all in agreement. Motion
more
passed.
than happy to see more of that. But yeah, I don't think that's not the Ubisoft. That's not the Ubisoft open world model. I mean, the Ubisoft open world model is you play as a single character.
Yeah.
You often have abilities, but at the same time, they're usually quite grounded, aren't they? So I mean, I did forget, you know, open world game Far Cry, that is first person. That is Ubisoft. But yeah, so I mean, I don't know. That's the problem. Is that, again, that might be one of the challenges you face, because, you know, people are inclined to be Jedi, but Jedi then OP, and it's like, well, where's the challenge? What do you do? Do you have to scale the enemies up to be unrealistically difficult because you're a Jedi with a laser sword? So it's like, and force power. So I mean, I'd think it wouldn't be a Jedi character. I'd think it'd be some kind of blaster wielding scoundrel, Solo-esque. You know, you think about, you know, what they talked about. What was it? Star Wars 133, the one that was going to be set on Coruscant.
13, wasn't it?
Thank you, 1313. That was the other one that never came off the ground. So that was the idea. You were going to be a bounty hunter, and it was going to be going to the depths of Coruscant and stuff. That sounded amazing. So that would work. But yeah, this is the challenge. This is the challenge, and
we haven't even addressed the bigger question here: is when. when in the Star Wars timeline is this even going to be set? Is this going to be prequels, original trilogy, sequels, after the
Excuse me,
sequels?
that is not what they are called now. Do you not know about this?
What the Rayquels? Whatever they're called now, because they're all
No,
about Ray.
they released during like the new High
Oh, they've
Republic books.
redefined the eras,
Yeah,
haven't
they
they?
redefined the eras. Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
Lord.
with the
Yeah.
launch of like the High Republic books and everything, it's like
Yeah.
everything episode like 1 to 3 is the fall of the Jedi era, and then like between that and before Rogue One, for example, is like the reign of the Empire.
Okay.
Then it's the Age of Rebellion, which goes to the Return of the Jedi. Mandalorian's the Age of the New Republic, and then after that is the Rise of the First Order.
Great. Cool.
Okay.
They are aptly named. You know, it's named well, but the thing is though, no one's going to use it. They're just going to go prequels, sequels,
sequel.
originals.
Yeah.
What I
Exactly.
always used to like, I used to be a massive fan of the expanded universe books, and they used to have timelines in their books so on like the front pages to tell you when stuff was set and what other books were set when, and then you want pick up those and stuff, explore that area. And the way they used to do it was two things. They just say BBY and ABY, which was before the Battle of Yavin and after the Battle of Yavin, and it was like I like that personally.
You're
I'm gonna stick
Yavin a
to that.
laugh.
Oh.
No.
How do we?
But back to Rob's question. And
how do we kick Rob?
how do we just boot him out of here? Yeah, good question. I think we might see this new thing, right? So this is the thing Cameron touched upon, which is the High Republic stuff, which is what they've just started this big cross-media books, comics, and they did want to do games in the area in this era, but they kind of that didn't pan out at the time with EA. But we might see that with Ubisoft. I think that's a cool idea. Sort of like we're not quite as old school as Knights of the Old Republic, but we're in this kind of halcyon days of hyperspace exploration. You know, where not everything is mapped out, not everything is known, and you know, there's a bit more of a frontier feel to it, and the Jedi aren't quite as like messianic, aren't quite as like, you know, up their own butt religious as they are in the prequels and stuff, and it's a bit more, you know, gunslinger Jedi and a bit more like, whoa, you know, some sheriff on the outskirts, you know, which we got to see in the Mandalorian as well. Those sort of characters, which I'd love to see. I think that's a good era too. The kind of the New Republic era. I think that works too. I'd love to see more Mando stuff. And I think, look, let's be honest, bounty hunter characters more popular than ever because of Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett that's coming this year as well and stuff. So I think it's quite likely we get a gunslinger, we get a rogue character in the lead.
I hope
This
that
is
we get
the way.
Oh, this is the way. I do hope we get a gunslinger character that can use a lightsaber or phaser sword of some description, whether it's a lightsaber, a dark saber, whichever one, that at some point you find something.
Yeah. It would be cool to finally see somebody dual wielding. You know, you don't see it. In fact, I don't think I have seen it in my history of like playing games and watching films. Having someone not necessarily mastering the Force, but being able to like deflect a couple of like rays away with like a lightsaber, and then Did you guys watch Rebels?
Yes.
Do you not remember Ezra as he transitions from silly kid with his blaster?
Yeah, his first lightsaber.
He actually modded his blaster to have a lightsaber in it, so he kind of had both. So that's
you can use them at the same time
done.
or dual wield though. That's the thing.
And
I don't remember. I think I remember him shooting it when he had the lightsaber out.
I think
He has to turn it off. He has to turn it off because
Does he?
it drain of his power.
I think
Come on, boys, get with it.
Jedi Master Kanan Jarrus, he would use a blaster as well as a lightsaber, depending on
I do remember that
and that sort of thing.
God, Kanan was such a good character.
So good.
Love Kanan. His arc was
Voiced by Freddie Prinze Jr., which I didn't realise for a long time.
Very talented voice actor, Freddie Prinze Jr. Also executive produced WWE for a long time as well. Bet you didn't know that.
He's also married to Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, that's it. Freddie Prinze Jr. gets a bow. Yeah. That boy gets a bow.
He really does.
He's a modern man. Should we move on to the next news story?
Indeed.
We hinted at it. Let's touch on Mass Effect. The rumors are that the Legendary Edition is hitting in March, and that's really all the stories are. It seems pretty likely.
So
I would say.
Taking March off work.
I made the wife angry. Right, she's used all her holiday time up and doesn't reset until April. And I was like, when it comes out in March, though, I'll take some time off. I'll take a week off to play it. Oh, but you have to wait till April. Oh,
shame, babe.
She's gonna kill you.
So there's actually a key date actually for this Mass Effect Legendary Edition, the 28th of March. That's my birthday, and that's when Ben's buying it for me.
Oh, I said I'm buying it for you. I'm standing to that, man. Don't worry. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna buy it for you. No, you have to buy an Xbox first, but I'm gonna buy it for you.
Loopholes, Ma.
Oh, see, I got you there, mate. I got you there. I can't wait. I'm really curious to see what they do with the first game.
Mm-hmm.
I think 2 and 3 would just repackage it so the DLC works consistently. I don't care what you do with that. They're perfect as they are. But that first game is such a different experience to the second two that I'm like, are they gonna do anything with the controls, or are they gonna do anything with the inventory? Because it's so bad. But like, I'm really curious to see what they do with the first one. Yeah, that's my main thing. I bet they don't do much. I bet everything's just upscaled 4K and run at 60, and that's it. But that'll be. I'm happy with that anyway. Just so it's all in one package in one place. I haven't got to worry about the back compatible versions on the Xbox half the time not working with the DLC. So just give it to me. Yeah, give it to me. Put it in my veins. So I'm proper psyched for that. I don't know how to segue into this, but it seems to come up a lot, doesn't it? Like, oh man, CEX or sex, as they do insist to be called, are the worst.
Because you're constantly getting fucked by them.
That's not bad. I like that. Well, they're constantly fucking their staff, I think is the current one. Basically they're just like forcing them to stay open, to do this drop off of trade-in stuff, and like, you know, handling disgusting, dirty, probably infected consoles, and that, you know, I can understand why this is not the intention of those regulations, to allow people to trade in video games.
That shop is not an essential service.
No, how can you even try to argue that? It's so insane to me. It's a fucking pawnbrokers. It's like, why are they still allowed to trade during this lockdown? And forcing their staff to be there and like have inadequate protections, and you know, this on top of the other news, you know, with the scalping of the PS4 PS5 prices and Xbox Series X prices and all of this. It's just the crappiest business models. But what surprises me is that people are surprised. They've always been scumbags. I've told anecdotes about this in the past, and I've got personal beef with these idiots. So it's like, you know, I am biased, but they really are gross. And it's not just me thinking that because of what I've been through with them in the past. They really are gross company. Do not give them business. Do not do it. Sell your shit on eBay. Like, for Christ's sake, if you really need that 150 quid right now from your Xbox One S or whatever, do it through eBay. Don't do it through CX.
At this point, Facebook Marketplace is a better.
I'll even go Facebook Market. You'll probably make more money that way as well.
I mean, it's stupid. You shouldn't, because it's a lockdown. You shouldn't be meeting random people in a car park exchanging money for fucking goods. I mean, what kind of idiot are you anyway? But I understand that if in this time, you know, money is tighter than ever for a lot of people, and you know, you're looking to recycle stuff you're not using, you might really need the cash, and I get that. So you have to take risks, right? You've got to do what you got to do. Just don't give it to CEX. They're just not. It's just not cool, and and they're never going to give you a fair amount of money for it anyway.
No.
And on top of it, they're screwing their people, and it's just
despicable.
In further sad news to touch on, I'm going to slightly skip around with the order of the news as well, just because segues are segues. Hogwarts Legacy has been delayed to 2022, and I am very sad.
This is the beginning of these. This is not going to stop. No. I think with the ongoing COVID issues, the ongoing working from home situations, a lot of the games that were kind of scheduled for this year are going to fall out this year, I think. The other delay was Ubisoft has delayed that. Do you remember the Riders Republic thing they showed last year, like around the E3 presentations? I think we briefly talked about it. But basically that was their kind of follow-up to Steep, but like not just snow, where they combined all these different national parks, and like you could ride through them, you can wingsuit through them, you can do all kinds of crazy, you know, massive, but it was massively multiplayer. So like Steep, but with everybody else at the same time. It looked panic. It looked like I'd play that game. It looked fun.
God, can you imagine the collision? If they had collision on those sort of things.
I think there will be. I think the whole point is that it's anarchic and crazy and just like rebellious and insane. And yeah, the trailer definitely looked like a laugh. But yeah, that's delayed sometime later in the year. They've not even given a kind of a month for that. It's just slipped. Hogwarts is probably a bit like Rob said, a bit sadder, because it's the kind of in a same way as this Ubisoft Star Wars game. is the great hope for the best Star Wars game ever. This looked like a really cool way of doing Harry Potter. Like I was down for this.
Doing the Wizarding World, I think. Yeah, because if Harry can't be mentioned in this one. But I am gutted that it's been delayed, but I would rather they delay it than do what another very big name developer may or may not have done toward the end of last year and not delay.
Well, we'll talk about that after this one.
Yes.
Also, even my partner isn't. Well, I can't say an avid gamer. She doesn't like gaming. Okay, she thinks I spend too much time gaming. I'm pretty this close to like dumping her, to be honest. If she keeps saying that. But even though she was quite excited at the prospect of a Harry Potter game, because she does love Harry Potter, and I was kind of hoping this might be a way that I can segue her into the gaming world without her realizing it. and then like after Harry Potter, we can incorporate some like lighter games as well. Maybe buy her a Switch with Animal Crossing, that sort of thing. And next thing you know, while she's playing that, it's like, oh, cool. I can now use my PS5, or when I get one. Or should I say, my Xbox, so I can play Mass Effect.
Now you're doing it properly.
So it was quite, it was interesting to have someone who's really not into gaming kind of get somewhat excited about a game, which is really strange. That it's such a follower in the Harry Potter fan base, that it could introduce a whole new, not necessarily an age of gamers, because I think Harry Potter is going to be like a timeless kids film. And then people will, especially our age, will grow up with it. But the previous or the next generation, I guarantee you, I'm going to make my kid watch Harry Potter, and he's going to love it.
I illustrated Harry Potter books that I intend on reading to my children one day when I have them. I will perpetuate it through time.
Absolutely.
I never read the books, but I really like the films. And it's a case of, for me, I think I was just too old for the books when they came out. I just missed that, unfortunately. But no, I love the films, and I have Sky, and often on Sky there's like a Harry Potter channel where they'll just show the films continuously in order on loop. And I find myself every so often I'll just dip in and watch some of one, and it's just like, hey, this is so much fun.
Yeah,
this is so much fun. This is just great. I just love them. They're just really, really good. I mean, it gets very serious at the end, but like in the first 4 or 5 of them, they're just fucking good fun family. Who wouldn't want to be the boy who lived? Who wouldn't want to be Harry Potter and find out, going from a nobody, that you're actually this awesome wizard kid and go to school and do all that and become awesome and stuff? It's just brilliant. It's brilliant power fantasy, brilliant escapism. So I would play I'm going to play the shit out of this game. I think it's exactly what you want to do in Harry Potter is be the wizard and explore the world around Hogwarts and do all of that. That sounds cool as all hell.
Me and my friends had this awesome film pitch of it's like a sports film, the underdog team coming up and getting to the finals and everything like that. And there's drama between the team and everything like that. But then, like at the last second, that's where we reveal the sport, Quidditch.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I would watch a Mighty Ducks Quidditch. Sure.
Not only that, but like the final game they have, sort of thing. It's the Ireland versus Bulgaria World Cup, and the final scene when they're celebrating, suddenly there's explosions, and that ties into the attack by the Dark Wizards from the Goblet of Fire.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
I know, right? And we were talking about it, and we just sat there, just kind of like, "Look at this."
One of these things where they do magic in the wind-up to the climax, where it's the Quidditch reveal. You can sometimes see people using a little bit of magic or referencing something, but not enough on the first watch to notice. Just on the second watch, you go back through and go, "He's doing magic over there."
I always thought Quidditch kind of had shit rules, but anyway.
How did he kick Ben?
I'm sorry. The idea that you can instantly win it by catching a thing is just...
that's actually not true. It's
whatever. No, we're going to move on.
I'm going to catch the snitch to get 150 points, and it ends the game. It doesn't mean you win, as evidenced by Ireland and Bulgaria. Cameron
mentioned that he has trouble with his wife, sometimes his girlfriend, understanding that gaming is cool and awesome, right? And I had the same thing with my mother. She never understood my interest in games. So over Christmas, I was talking to her, as you do. You talk to your parents and stuff over Christmas, don't you, the other day? And she brought something up, and it absolutely blew my mind, right? She goes, "Oh, have you been following all this Cyberpunk stuff about the game being completely broken and stuff?" And I went, "What?" So I was watching it on BBC. It sounds like it's really bad, isn't it? And I'm like, yeah. I was just so surprised. I was so shocked. That my mum, who's in her 70s, that barely ever played a video game, has never understood anything I do about video games, just sort of goes, "That's nice, dear." And she's talking to me, correctly bringing up Cyberpunk, correctly telling me the name of the developer, CD Projekt Red, correctly telling me about the issues, and I'm like, this is insane. This is how big this has gotten, that it has transcended video games and is now on the BBC and CNN and all this crap, you know, to the point where I think anybody would like to talk about something other than Corona. So it was a case of it got out there to that point when my mum told me about it over Christmas. I couldn't believe it. So the relation to the story is that the co-founder, I'm gonna brutalize his name, Marcin Iwinski, who is one of the co-founders of CD Projekt, kind of put out a statement, mea culpa'd it, basically as hard as he could. Bit late for that, I think, but you know, better late than never, I guess. And it's kind of outlined a roadmap for what they're saying the future of Cyberpunk is going to look like in this year. And the main takeaway is that, for me, is that the next gen upgrades and the free DLC is not going to be until the second half of 2021. And if you actually look at the map, it puts the upgrades after the free DLC. So it looks towards the end of 2021. We won't get an actual upgrade on the Series X and PlayStation 5 of Cyberpunk, which is a real bummer for me. Because I put we'll talk about it in what we've been playing, but I put about 45 hours into the game now. I really like the game. However, I was kind of playing it quite slowly in the hopes that I'd at least play some of my first playthrough with the upgrades that I was expecting in sort of February, March, sort of somewhere around that area, based on what they've said before. I was always thinking it though, you know, oh, this is so fucked that they are going to have to focus on the what they call, I believe they called it the older generation of hardware, which was a very sort of pointed way of referring to your PS4 and Xbox One, which was only made old in the last 3 months. So I'm not sure that's an excuse, boys. You could have made them better.
See,
really
this raises an interesting question, because you've got a playthrough that you could easily finish before this update comes out.
I will.
Are you going to want
finish.
to continue with that playthrough when you're not going to see the next gen patch updates? You're not going to see any of that content and work if you finish your playthrough now. Is it engaging enough to want to do a second playthrough when those updates are out?
I don't think, considering how I play in the game and I'm doing all the side quests and I'm doing like everything I can, I don't think playing as a different, because you have the different origins, Corpo, Street Kid, or Nomad. They give you some dialogue differences. They give you a few side quest differences that it doesn't affect a lot of the core gameplay particularly. I'm not sure that's going to give me the impetus to go through the whole game again. I'm really, like I said, I'm really enjoying it. The more I play it, the more I enjoy it. The more I get sucked into the world. I've gone through a couple of like really substantial side quest chains now. I did one for my love interest storyline and I did one for another character. And they were really, really cool. And I won't spoil any of the beats from them, but like, so I did there's a police guy called River, and I did his entire quest line, and I did Panam's quest line as well. So people that have played that will understand that actually those were the bits that made me think of The Witcher the most, like kind of in-depth, connected, well-written storytelling, really good quest design, variety of quest design as well, like some really creative stuff that happened in them, and I was actually really impressed. And I think it's interesting that none of that came up in the reviews, because those guys were rushing, and a lot of those people were just mainlining that main quest line through the main story, ignoring those side bits. And if you remember, like, some of the best bits of The Witcher are the side bits. So it's a similar thing here with Cyberpunk. And I saw some. I mean, I thought the Panam is the romance storyline, and it culminates with a sex scene, and I thought it was incredibly well done and super inventive, and at the same time, really cyberpunk, like really, really cyberpunk in its implementation. And I thought that was very, very cool and inventive. And then the River one was really interesting, because you basically develop this broship with this police guy, and depending on how you play it, you can be friendly or whatever or not. But I played it down the friendly route, and it actually pays off with a very some very genuine moments of friendship, of collaboration and stuff like that. And I thought they handled it really well. The dialogue is really well written. The voice acting is really well done. And I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool. And I've had more fun doing the side stuff than the main stuff. I mean, the main stuff's great, but I kind of deviate and then come back to it every so often. But even just the combat and stuff, now that I've got good guns and I've got good abilities, I feel like the combat's really singing now a bit more. And there's a lot of variety to it as well. And I really like the design. But man, you can't deny how effed this game is, like on the older hardware. I mean, even on my Series X and S, where I played most of this on my S actually in my office rather than my X in my living room, and so I'm not getting the best experience. But you know, I can only imagine what it must be like to handle it on the older hardware. It's just so much. It's just going to be bad pop in. You've got a lot more bugs because the beefiness of these new consoles pushes through a lot of it. So, you know, much like the PC stuff. But I then watch videos of the PC, high-end, you know, top-of-the-end rigs and stuff, you know, the key stuff that they put out from CG Projekt Red. And it's like, wow, that looks so much better than even my Series X stuff. Like, when it comes to resolution, when it comes to the quality, I was really looking forward to that with the upgrade. But will I go back? I don't know, man. Maybe 2022. Maybe when there's more DLC, when there's paid DLC, proper meaty stuff to go back for. But I don't know if I will win this year. Sorry?
Maybe in 2077 when it's all fixed up.
See, I don't think many people will. I think either people will just drop the game now and go, well, there's no point, I'll come back in a year. Or they just will finish it now because I've started, so I shall finish, and then just won't go back. Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, I've started this shit now, so I might as well get it done and out of the way. So that's my worry, is that they're going to be pushing all this hard work through that I'm not 100% sure their entire audience is going to see. Which does make me sad, because it should have been fixed in the first place, and they are undoubtedly going to be working very hard to get it fixed. They're sticking true to their word and fixing it, which is great, but I'm not sure.
But you shouldn't have to. You should be ready to go. Yeah,
it should have been done before.
So
I don't have any experience with it. That's the thing, because I don't have it. But a close friend of mine, Foster, he is a god, because the guy's already platinumed the game.
Wow.
And like there's only like 0.5% of people who have Cyberpunk have actually platinumed the entire game.
That's insane.
What did he? And so you do it on PS4 or PS5?
I believe he has it on 5.
Okay.
But you know, the fact that he's already got it, and it's not long out, and he's got a love-hate relationship with it. He loves some of the games. Some of the bugs are quite annoying. Some of them are just funny. You know, like if you remember Skate 2, which was like the king of all buggy games, but it was hilarious to play at the same time. Sometimes he has that sort of feel about it. But you know, to platinum it already, you know, before DLCs, before bugs and stuff like that. I don't know if he's going to go back and do all the DLC stuff if it's not fixed by then or not, or if he's just going to go, no, it's all right. I've already platinumed it. I don't need extra trophies for that anymore. Okay. But it's I'd like to play it because it's it has been hyped and it sounds like a great game on paper. Maybe when it's finished.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to buy it now. I'm just not.
I think. I mean, they said in the statement in the video that I think what they did is they rolled the dice, because every day they were talking about they'd see improvements with the game. So they genuinely believed, and I believe they really believed this, that when that day 0 patch would hit, it was going to fix 99% of the issues. But it didn't. It fixed 80% of the issues. So there's still bugs. For example, it's weird because when you've played a lot of it, like I have, 40 odd hours, you kind of just live with them, right?
Yeah.
So but when I think about it, there are consistent bugs where when you get out of the car, you can't sprint, right? And then you have to kind of like hit a few buttons and make yourself jump or something, and then you can sprint again, or pull your gun out and put your gun away, and then you can sprint. Or the other thing is there'll be like not quest markers, but like I play with key dialogue subtitles that come up in world over characters. So that's one of the options. Sometimes they'll just get stuck. So you could be 2 kilometers away, look in their direction, you can see them as if they're still over their heads, right? That one line of dialogue. What do? Quick reload, do a quick save, quick load, disappears. Now, because on the new hardware, the loading when it's on the internal is so fast, that's not a big problem. However, I think about it, it's like, how often have I had to do that? Dozens of times. How often have I not been able to sprint out of a car? Hundreds of times. It's like it comes up all the time, but you just kind of get used to it as part of the game.
Yeah.
So it's clearly rough around the edges. Now, these bugs don't break my game experience. Once or twice, I've seen a floating character or a car stuck in the ground or something, right? But it doesn't break the game. It's an open world. You kind of just go, yeah, all right. But
One of the
funny there. Move on.
I saw a guy on a wheelchair get punched, and that character then got up out of his wheelchair and ran away.
You're cured!
Jesus
My
hands
have cured you. Cyberpunk, baby. But yeah, that's kind of the news is the roadmap, and it's the big news for me is the delay of those upgrades. And I won't talk about the game anymore because I think I just talked about it quite a lot. But one question
for you though. The romance scene that he says ends in like sex. Now, because it's CD Projekt Red, does it end up with having sex on a stuffed unicorn like in The Witcher, or just...
No? I won't. I'll tell you. The theme of on or in conveyance is continued. I don't want to spoil it. It's really unique. It's really unique.
I really
liked it.
Did you not play The Witcher 3?
If you guys want to know after, ask me and I'll tell you, but I don't want to spoil it for the listeners. So
fair enough.
It was really good. Yes. So let's move on to the final quick news story before we get into our topic and stuff. We've had quite a lot of news here. So basically, officially now, Take-Two has moved away from acquiring Codemasters, paving the way and enabling EA to swoop in and buy them. Wow, talk about lesser of two evils here, guys. I mean, I love Cody's racing games. I'm a massive fan of the F1 series, for example. Big fan of the Dirt games. They're really good. And the whole thing that was so awesome about Codemasters was independent UK developer that put out high-quality racing games that were made from, you could tell, a position of passion and knowledge of those respective motor vehicle sports. Now, I know I'm talking to both of you guys. Neither of you give a shit about these types of games, but I do. And so when I hear about Take-Two or EA are buying these guys, I'm like, hi. But I think EA is slightly less awful than Take-Two, considering how Take-Two, dealt with the NBA 2K series and how they turned that into a microtransaction fest, what they did with WWE and made them basically unplayably broken piles of shit. And it's just like, so I'll take EA with, they're inconsistent, but I guess more hits than misses. And they've got proven track record with good driving games, i.e. Burnout, i.e. some of the Need for Speed games. So hopefully they'll just let Codemasters continue with F1 the way they want. That's the main one for me.
They just want the money at the end of it.
I really hope so, Rob.
Yeah.
I really
Can we rely on EA to be greedy? Is the question you're essentially asking here.
Yes, I think we can. Yes, I think we can. Which probably means, I mean, what we saw in F1 this year for the first time actually was like a season pass of sorts, which you could get used just purely for cosmetics if you wanted.
Get used to that.
It was just cosmetics and just different liveries for your cars and racing suits and stuff for your single player and multiplayer. It was actually quite good and it was low price. And I went in for the first one of them and haven't done a subsequent one. But I could see them, and then I could see that kind of stuff and the microtransaction elements as well that are tied to that continue and possibly grow. Would a Formula One Ultimate Team be amazing? Yes. If I can do stuff like where I can get like some classic F1 drivers and combine them with classic F1 cars and classic F1 teams to have like online competitive racing around these crazy combinations and stuff, that could be really entertaining.
Just make sure you put Lewis Hamilton in a Volkswagen Golf. You'll still
thing I'm worried about if EA does get Codemasters. Isn't Codemasters the guy that did fucking Worms?
No, that's Team 17.
Team 17. Codemasters has something to do with Worms. I'm sure it was.
Nope. Team 17.
No.
What happened to teams 1 through 16?
They failed. Much like the Babylon stations, they were blown up in space. There's your nerdy reference. Right, so that's the end of the news. That's the end of the news.
That was the one nerdy reference.
That's the only one. We didn't go off for Harry Potter for half an hour. I had to stop you guys talking about fucking Quidditch.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know what we're running at because Rob's recording this, so I have no idea of time. But we'll just keep going. Over an hour. Good times. Let's get into the topic, which was let's look forward to 2021 if we possibly can, and try to not look back at 2020 as the year that time forgot. And let's talk about 2021. What games, what gaming trends, what gaming things, hardware, whatever are you excited about? Are you looking forward to? And what would you like to see the back of and not see any more of? So who wants to start?
I think there is definitely one that we have referenced already that both Ben and I have got it listed down, and Cam's looking forward to because he's getting it for free, and that's the Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
I'm down with everything for free.
Yeah, that is very much what I'm looking forward to this year. That is my main focus at the moment.
That's your main game that you're looking forward to this year?
Yes.
My word, that's depressing.
Because it's coming out in Q1. It is the most immediate game coming out this year.
Sure.
If we go by the March release date. So
I hope that's right. Yeah. I'm down for another trilogy playthrough. Absolutely. I haven't done it in a long time, so I'm really excited about it. I put Halo Infinite here, but I'm not sure we see that this year. Now I think about it.
I'm not sure I'm looking forward to it.
Take it back.
No.
Yeah, but you're not a Halo fan. You're not a man.
I used to be a Halo super fan.
Multiple Master Chiefs behind me here, so it's kind of like I'm
bought
committed
the Halo Reach Mega Edition with Noble Team. So,
I did too. Yeah, I had the Noble Team.
I was a huge Halo fan, and then Halo 4 and Halo 5.
Yeah, but Chief, baby, can't not look forward to playing as Chief. He's one of the best. I just don't think we see it this year. So
I'm not sure we're going to see it this year either, and. Considering the route they're going down, I'm not 100% sure with the hardcore Halo fans are going to like what they're going to get.
Stop adding stuff to the list, Cam. God damn it.
No, I didn't do nothing.
I watched you do it.
Something.
What are you looking forward to, Cam?
It's relevant, so shush.
What are you looking forward to?
Depending on how bad, COVID gets, if we are still stuck at home, then obviously I want some good games to be able to play. Looking forward to the God of War sequel, Ragnarok.
That's not this year.
It must be this year. Come on, please.
Year. News about it at least will be this year.
It won't be this year. There's no way Ragnarok is out this year.
No, you don't stamp on my hopes and dreams.
I'm sorry.
That's
sorry,
what
baby.
Ben does.
Experience kills dream.
There's a few things I'm looking forward to. I mean, there's news of Resident Evil Village is coming out apparently, which is a sequel to number 7. I'm slowly getting through 7, but I'm running out of underwear because I am playing it in a VR headset as well.
Oh, no.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
No.
I'm just waiting for Primark to be able to reopen so I can just stock up on underwear. Me and my friend I actually mentioned earlier, Foster, we have just finished through the story part of The Forest. I don't know if you guys remember that game. That survival horror game came out in 2018.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun. It's creepy and it's got quite an interesting story and choices that you can make in it as well. But they've got a sequel coming out called Sons of the Forest, and it looks incredible. They've really ramped up the creep factor. They've done a lot more. The studio has done a lot more. End Night game, I think it was End Night. They are using the new Unreal engines, like the particle physics things for chopping down trees and stuff like that. It looks absolutely brilliant. And they've done a lot more instead of animating the creepy characters via computerize them. They've actually done a lot of motion capture for it as well, which could bring this new air of realism to the creatures you're fighting, which is going to be kind of increase the creep factor as well. Rather than a mandatory computer generated I've been hit sort of thing. It can really react to a swing. It'd be really cool.
So where are the daughters of the forest? Are they all still in the kitchen at home?
We're just going to let that comment sit there.
Who's editing this video?
Just so Ben feels bad.
Just time that.
I just thought the name was slightly odd. I thought the name was slightly sexist. I was wondering when the daughters of the forest were.
And the kitchen was your first thought.
Yes, it was.
Anyway, we disapprove.
So,
looking after the kids? I don't know. What else are you doing?
the Sons of the Forest, like we are speculating right now that it's following the main character's son, who you had to rescue in the first forest. Hence why we think it's called Sons of the Forest.
See, reason.
That's the speculation so far. But yeah, we can't wait for that to come out. Hopefully the tail end of 2021. And looking for, again, it's probably along the same line of God of War Ragnarok, but Gotham Knights.
No, I think that's coming out.
Just a bit more news about how it'll play. I mean, it looks great. A great idea, at least. It's reminding me of Assassin's Creed Unity. You know, the 4-player co-op when it was in France?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, okay. I mean, no, I think, first of all, I think that'll definitely come out this year. There was some kind of news about that in the last week or two, which was basically we've worked really, really hard to make the multiplayer combat work and be fun in that kind of Knight, I should say, like Arkham Knight style of brawler. So they've worked very hard to make it make sense in the multiplayer setting. I am not excited for that game. I'm like,
we need to
I don't know why, because I really liked Arkham Knight, and I know a lot of people didn't like Arkham Knight, but I actually enjoyed that. But something about those characters and just revisiting that, and it just looked like they've done so little to actually kind of develop the world and stuff. It just didn't do anything
That's
for
the
me.
thing. That's the thing, though. This is actually set in its own universe away from the Batman Arkham games.
Sure, but it still feels very connected to it.
I believe we're getting the Court of Owls, aren't we? We're getting the Court of Owls. Yeah. I've waited for that to be in video games for ages. And if this is set away from the central Arkham storyline, then that means we're probably going to get a different Batman, but in a different role.
There's no Batman. Role. The whole point is that Batman isn't in it. Batman's dead.
Or he's missing or something, yeah.
Dead. Supposed to be dead, based on the trailer. You know, I've recruited
Bruce Wayne.
Dead, basically.
But that could.
And I'm not sure Court of Owls works without Batman.
It could be this is the point where he's in the Owl's labyrinth, where we think he's gone. You know, from the comic book release. I forget the author of it. You know, when Batman was in the labyrinth trying to figure it out and basically kidnapped by the court, this could be where this is set. We don't know.
Yeah.
I'm hyped for it.
In, like, rescuing Batman sort of thing.
Who is it? It's Red Hood.
Yeah,
Batgirl.
Jason Todd, Batgirl. I think it's Dick Grayson, obviously, it's Nightwing, and I'm pretty sure it's Damian as Robin.
Possibly, yeah.
So because it's Todd as Red Hood. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, okay.
It's either Damian or it's the one before.
So you got three Robins and Batgirl. Oh wow. How diverse.
No, you've got different combat styles from all of them.
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting.
I don't know. Azrael would have been more interesting. But,
would he though?
No, probably not.
No.
I
None of those characters are interesting.
I made a mistake. It was Tim Drake's Robin, not Damian's. So Tim is the one who actually did appear in the Batman Arkham series. So he's the one who had the bow staff that turned into a shield and stuff.
Yeah. So we'll have him as one of the Robins. We've got obviously the Red Hood, so lots of guns, explosives, more lethal measures, traditional Batman role filled by Batwoman or Batgirl, and then you have the...
I believe she has quite a techie role as well, because Barbara, obviously, she's always been Oracle and everything. But yeah, it depends, because like to each their character, they are proficient and actually really well-written characters a lot of the time. Jason Todd's one of my favorite people to appear in the comics. His backstory about coming back, a little convoluted, I admit.
I liked how they did Red Hood in the Arkham Knight. I actually quite like that. That was quite good. That reveal. I'll probably play it while we wait for Suicide Squad versus the Justice League anyway, which is the real one.
Which shouldn't really be a contest because Superman would just laser all their heads off and win.
And you're done. It's gonna be interesting to see how they deal with that.
Looking
from my list
to get rid of though. Sorry, I was going to say things we don't want to see.
We've got others. Let us talk
Yeah,
about ours,
okay.
Cam. Jesus Christ, calm down.
Fine, go on then.
Calm down, bro. Back for Blood. I'm really looking forward to Back for Blood because I'm a big Left 4 Dead fan, and the fact that we're going to be doing more of that with a slightly different name. You guys are fools and didn't do Left 4 Dead, but Left 4 Dead is probably the best cooperative multiplayer shooter, one of the best ever made. Just so good, so good. Had spent so many hours and hours and hours and hours of playing that in multiplayer. So yeah, I am proper excited for that. I also thought it was worth giving a little shout out to this game that there was a lot of push behind it in like 2019, and then it just sort of fell off the radar. And once Dying Light 2, and I know they've had some kind of like development stuff, and yeah, it's struggled. They changed writers left and lead developers left and stuff like that. But that should come out this year, I would have thought. But it'd be interesting to see when they kind of get back on the radar and start communicating again out from Techland and actually talking about where that game is at, because it had some really cool ideas. And the first Dying Light game is really, really good. Like that progression from Dead Island, the first Dead Island to Dying Light, which is what Techland did, and the whole parkour versus zombies and stuff was in first person, was visceral, scary. You felt like you really had to survive and scavenge in that game, and it was cool. So I look for another one of those. Yeah. What about you, Rob? You got any more you want to shout out? Or
Not hugely. I was going to mention Gotham Knights as well because I love the Batman game universe. I believe Total War Warhammer is coming out with Total War Warhammer 3 this year. I believe that is an intention. So that will
Can
cap
there
off the
be any
trilogy.
more
Yes.
armies?
Yes.
Can there be any more?
40,000 of them.
How many more goblins are there? How about some more rat men?
What happened to all of us being able to talk about what we wanted to talk about, Ben? What happened?
It's my
there?
show. Shut up.
So it's fine for you to talk about your shit, but not for us.
Yes.
It should be the good capstone game to the trilogy that we've been working up to. Warhammer 1
So
was
what
great.
armies are you looking forward to?
It should be the Ogre Kingdoms, Chaos Dwarfs, and Chaos getting a massive rework, which should be really, really good. Hopefully Kislev will be sort of like one of the good factions where it's essentially Russians riding bears.
Sounds cool. I like that.
Sold.
Yeah,
That does
exactly.
sound cool.
I'm sold on that.
Kislev. Never heard of that.
Kislev,
Russians riding bears.
So they use ice magic, all sorts. It's going to be brilliant. But should we go on to what we want to see the back of from 2020?
Well, I just want to mention instead of just games, my big thing this year is I'm going to build myself a high-end gaming PC, baby. I'm going to spend me some money, and I'm gonna get the best one I can get, basically, for maybe not quite the top, but upper mid.
Well, it's not as if we have money to spend to go on holiday, is it?
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. So I'm gonna. I'll step up our streaming effort, I think, and stuff like that, and you'll see us on Twitch because of that and things like that. But not Mixer. Just as I was getting into Mixer, they killed it. It's so sad. But I know.
Yeah, Mixer.
But
start streaming to Facebook. That's where everyone's going, apparently.
What about YouTube gaming, baby? YouTube gaming. No, that even still a thing.
Twitch.
Twitch is the only option now. Yeah,
Twitch.
pretty much. But that's something I'm looking forward to doing. Have you guys got any kind of like stuff like more like that, less specific to games, more esoteric? That
I'll be updating my gaming rig at some point as well. I want to replace the processor, motherboard, graphics card, and probably the PSU. But
processor, motherboard, graphics card, PSU.
Yeah.
What aren't you upgrading? The RAM.
The RAM, the heatsink, the case, the drives.
So you're not upgrading the cheap stuff.
Basically,
everything that's expensive is getting an upgrade. So you're basically building a new PC.
Shush.
Don't try to call it an upgrade to make yourself feel better. You're basically building a new PC. Okay.
So yeah, that's generally like hardware-wise what I'm planning on doing.
Cameron, are you going to get a new next-gen console? Is that in your future?
We can only hope, I'll be happy to get.
You've got one child to sell. You could always make another one.
Kidneys go for a lot on the market, I mean, more and more, like I said, we've been looking forward to at some point maybe getting us a Nintendo Switch for the house, just so we have a little something extra that we can play together. A bit of Mario Kart and stuff.
Just be careful because I suspect we're getting a hardware revision of that this year. So just don't buy the old shit one just prior to the new good one coming out. That would suck. So be aware of that.
God damn it! I can't get a win. There's no winning. I don't know. I mean, my PC, like compared to you guys, like it's like 8 years old. I think this PC is about 7 or 8 years old. It's still going strong. I've only had to tweak like a graphics card or so on there. But she still runs enough to play most of the games that I need to play. I'm not downloading and playing like the highest quality, super duper graphics. I'm not playing Cyberpunk on this sort of thing. So I don't necessarily need such a massive upgrade.
Oh, I don't need one. I just want one.
Nobody needs one.
It's not needed, Cameron. That's
All right,
not the
fine.
point.
If I had the money, yes, I'd probably get an upgrade, but I don't.
Cool.
Nah,
Right. Move on quickly then. Things we want to see the back of. Who wants to go first?
Microtransaction-based games. Paying to win, because I'm stealing Cameron's point, because he is painfully right.
What do you mean by... do you just mean free-to-play games?
Yeah, I want a game. I still want to go back to the days where you bought a game and you had the game. You didn't then have to go onto a store and buy extra stuff and buy this and buy that and buy this and buy that.
Can you give me an example from 2020?
The Assassin's Creed games had microtransactions inside.
But why do you need to buy them?
You don't need to, but you're still being presented with extra things to purchase. All of that game work and coding work was done before the game's release or slightly after. Could easily have been part of the package that was earnable in-game to create a better gameplay loop.
Maybe when the microtransactions are there at launch, but then they post-release support is a big thing. They're called live game services. Whole development teams based around that now.
Look at that whole debacle that happened with EA with Battlefront 2. With was it Darth Vader? You spent how much?
Yeah, but you're going back 3 years, Cam. I mean, it's like
it's still
agree.
a relevant microtransaction in a game. You had to play it for like 500 hours to unlock Vader, or you spent this money to play him.
Yeah, but like I said, you're going back 3 years, and it's like that's not what we're seeing in modern releases. I mean, from what I can tell, microtransactions 99% of the time now it is a common myth what you guys have brought up here. It's not pay to win. It's purely there if you want it. It's time saver if you don't want to put in 50 hours into a game or whatever, but you don't have to buy it. Nobody's forcing you to buy it. I mean, I actually find that the store in the new Assassin's Creed game is completely ignorable. I mean, it's just a selection from the main menu, but you never need to even look at it if you don't want to. It's not like it comes up in the game. Oh, by the way, have you considered buying this thing? It never does that, and it's like, no, at no point do you need to do it. Also, they're not going anywhere. Also, Rob, you like Destiny 2, mate?
Yes,
so they have their whole structure is every year you buy more content for it.
I don't mind some sort of live service where you pay either a monthly charge or something every 3 months or whatever, and you get more content. That I'm fine with. It's where they're then turning around and going, "Oh yeah, but you could." Okay. Yeah, I don't mind season passes. I don't mind an expansion coming out in September or whichever. That's absolutely fine because there's dev work that's gone into making that expansion or that season, and
it's content.
Exactly. It's a new gameplay loop that you can then turn around and spend some time on. Having more of that in a base game for something that isn't meant to be a live service MMO type game like Destiny, because I knew you were going to bring that one up. Having a game that isn't based around that, having those sorts of options. I miss those days where you just bought a disc, put the disc in, and played the disc, and you weren't said or told that you needed to buy this or buy that, or there were loot box mechanics where
you're never told you need to.
Wanted.
So you only see loot boxes really in free to play games for the most part now. That the industry has listened to the pushback. So you don't see the random gotcha mechanics in stuff that you buy for 60 quid, which is that's not in the Ubisoft games. It's just not there. So basically, you only see that now in free to play. So what you do see are the microtransaction stores, which is what you described through AC Valhalla. But at no point are you told you need to buy any of it. You can ignore all of it, and it's never in your face. So I do think you're talking more around the myth of it rather than the actual practical application of it, because things have changed. That has been listened to, that feedback, and it's a lot less egregious than it was in the vast majority. Now, you could argue that in FIFA and some of these sports games, we're talking about the Ultimate Team mechanic, which of course is a loot box. However, that's an entire game mode built around that. And if you don't want to touch that game mode, you'll never see that loot box. So you can just entirely play, say, normal tournaments or, you know, foot matches or whatever, and never, ever, ever see one of those packs. So
yeah, but games like,
for
example, games like Call of Duty, for example, which you know, the Modern Warfare or Cold War, whatever you're playing right now, you know, you pay for, you know, certain gun mods and stuff like that. Like Rob's written there, he's got like battle passes, for example, where certain loadouts and certain types of guns are sometimes completely fucking broken to the point where you're just decimating everybody, you know.
But that's just poor balancing on their part. That's not necessarily anything to do with the season pass or the microtransaction or the.
It can be because like some of the weapons that are locked behind certain challenges and stuff like that, which are superior.
So your argument is that they put the good shit behind that season pass.
Sometimes, yeah, they do. Sometimes they put it behind.
I mean, I'm not sure they would agree. I would say it's more likely that they say they made a mistake because they wouldn't have nerfed stuff. Obviously, we're talking about the recent issues around the DMR in Call of Duty. Now that was then addressed. That was nerfed. That was fixed. And it's a case of if that was intended, they wouldn't have done that, would they? So it's like, well, no, you pay into bin.
Or did they turn around and go, oh yeah, okay, yeah, let's say that was a mistake and let's nerf that into the ground.
Well, as if they thought people wouldn't notice.
After everyone's bought the DMR on the microtransactions.
Exactly.
So,
well, I'm not sure they would do. I mean, it's like at the beginning that game came out, the ultimate build was, I remember it was those shotguns, right, which you could basically snipe someone, one hit, kill them across the map. It's just that wasn't behind the paywall. It's just poorly balanced. They fucked it up, and I think it's more likely that that's what they did.
It reminds me of the old Akimbo 1887s and Modern Warfare 2.
I do see where you're. I do see.
Sniper rifle.
I think I understand where Rob's coming from for the desire to get what you pay for on the disc. I get that. I just don't think it's realistic because the publishers and the developers now have to find alternative revenue streams, and it's just not going to stop. Like if people are willing to buy cosmetics and shortcuts in games, then why would they stop offering it? So it doesn't make business sense, and I think that's just the nature of live games now. There's no such thing as a finished game, which is good and bad. Like, you know, imagine if Cyberpunk came out and they just went, well, tough shit, guys. If you couldn't fix that, but you can patch that, and it's the part of always being online with these consoles and stuff, and that PC gaming is now all gaming, and that PC gaming is console gaming. It's all the same. So. I just think it's the nature of it. And if you want games to be supported and you want new content, free content and updates and stuff, then it needs to be supported with the microtransaction store.
I never said I was after free content updates. I have
no
problem
not just free content,
for expansion packs.
By free content, I'm talking about continuous patching and bug fixing, mate. That's free. You don't pay for them.
How about people roll out games that aren't full of bugs?
Dude, they've always done it. You go back to the Amiga games used to come out. Hey, remember E.T.?
No.
I mean, that game came out broken, right? But they couldn't fix it back then. Now they can. But if you want developers to continue to work on a game and not work on the next game, then you need to pay them to do it. So it's like, it's just a business model.
Considering some of the profit streams that these game companies come out with, they have enough revenue to be able to do 6 months of post-release support before moving on to the next title.
Some might not.
Exploratory movements. Yeah, okay, that's more for AAAs rather than
every studio is different. You know, I mean, every studio is different. You know, not even just indie. We're talking about like, you know, Cody's until this position that's happening with being bought out by EA. You know, independent, but I would say like B tier, right, rather than AAA tier. But I imagine they would struggle without some form of alternative revenue stream, because you can't. People expect the live game now, that live game constant update model, to apply to every type of game. They expect it to happen in Far Cry as much as they expect it to happen in FIFA. So it's you have to pay them, and the team might be smaller, but it's still a team. It's still, instead of the whole studio, 400 people or 1,000 people, it's 30 people or a few hundred people, but it's still people that need salary and paying the bill. You know, I've never had a problem with stuff as long as it doesn't affect the game. And these things don't affect the game. That's what I'm saying. It's like, you know, different looks to your character, different weapon skins, or it's a single player game like Assassin's Creed. And so the weapons are good. They're really good, right? But it's single player. You don't have to touch them if you don't want to. Play with less good weapons.
The issue I have with the cosmetic side of it is that it's often viewed that a lot more work goes into the paid for cosmetics than the earnable in-game cosmetics. So if you want the best looks, the coolest stuff, you have to pay the money.
Yeah, definitely talking about Destiny now, but they've made changes. They have made changes. Like, we saw it with this season, didn't we? The new release that they put the good armor was earnable for the first time, rather than you had to buy it from Eververse. Yeah. So I think these developers do listen.
Yeah, this is something I want to leave in 2020. Leave it in the past. We carry on moving forward with it.
I think it's happened. Yeah, it's happened. So you're good. You got what you wanted.
Merry Christmas.
I really wanted to see the end of unfinished games. Like simply put, Cyberpunk. I really want to see. I want to see the back of these awesome games coming out, and they're not just like you're saying, like microtransactions. That's nothing compared to this. It's like games that come out and fucking broken. Don't work. Let's not do that. Let's not force games out to hit budgetary constraints, to hit end of year financials. Let's wait until they are ready, especially if you're a AAA studio. You can afford to do that. You don't have to be obsessed with your historical kind of tentpole release schedules, right? Especially in the world of COVID, when people are clamoring for the next big game experience. Just make it good and fixed and ready on the day it comes out.
Yeah.
Come in with your post support. Improve things if you like, but that base game needs to be
solid.
Good. Needs to work.
Yeah,
that's what I'd like to see the back of personally. I'm delays suck. We all get excited for shit, and we all but look, Cyberpunk had delays. We'd already experienced that. Delay it again. Like if you've got to do it, delay it again. And it's just like that perception. I think the big thing with Cyberpunk, and it ties into what we were talking about before. The difference between this and Witcher. You're talking to me about whether or not I'd come back to play it when it was all fixed and sorted. The problem is, Witcher was relatively under the radar, right? So people didn't all buy it when it first came out.
Yeah.
So when they heard it was all great and awesome, that's when they came to it. Cyberpunk, everybody bought it already, and they're stuck with a lemon.
Yeah.
And they're now never going to go back to it. So I don't know how they're ever going to fix that, like that ill will they have now generated around this game.
I
really don't know how they fix that. Every game from now on that they bring out has to be free. What else do you do?
What are they going to do with The Witcher 4 or Witcheriness or whatever it's going to be?
Get it for free.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what else can you do? They're fucked. What about you, Cam? What do you want to see the back of? We had a bit of a debate there. Well, I mean, that was kind of Rob's, was kind of your one, wasn't it? But anything else?
COVID. I don't know.
COVID. Still back to COVID.
Still back to COVID, yeah.
It's not gaming related, but I'm not going to argue with that. Rob, what's our running time, dear sir?
About an hour and a half or so.
Okay. Do we want to touch on some of the games we've been playing over the Christmas break to take us away from the suffering?
Briefly, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's some here. I won't talk about the ones that are going to come up in Game of the Year for me, but I will maybe touch on a couple that aren't. So let's leave the Game of the Year related ones until we roll around to that. Hopefully next week. But Rob, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, so I have spent a lot of time late December. A friend of mine, Ian, he kicked off a modded Minecraft server on version 1.16. So this is up to date with the current version of Minecraft. So we have all the water update, the bees update, the nether update, all of that is live in this. And it's a completely new and improved set of mods. It's completely up to date with everything. It is so much fun. It's absolutely wonderful playing through that, so that's been great. I've been spending a bit of time playing Hades from Christmas Day onwards. I have basically no-lifed Hades as well, which I will save more of my views for that for hopefully next week, because
on my list as well.
I have been playing Star Wars Battlefront 2 over the past couple of days, because in date of recording on the 16th, it was free the previous Thursday on the Epic Games Store. So I've been playing that a bit, and I've been enjoying being able to play that again. It's been really, really good fun. And I've been dabbling recently in the Final Fantasy X2 HD Remaster again for some reason. I've just really fancied playing it.
I don't even know what to say to that.
It's a good game. Thanks, Rob. It's cool. I think.
I never played
Point.
X or X2. No,
You should. You've missed out.
you know, I doubt it. It's Final Fantasy. I
So,
also played
You've been
the
playing
Epic game.
FIFA, so you know you can
Well,
hardly
yeah.
talk.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna hit that in a second. But I also played the really good Epic game over Christmas, which was log in every day to get another free game, which I did throughout Christmas and New Year.
I did not.
I did that too. It's great.
I did
very
that
fun.
every day and got everything they offered, and it's like, my God, this is so good that they do this every year.
I downloaded and signed up for Epic on Thursday.
Sorry, what was that, Rob?
I downloaded it and signed up for Epic on Thursday.
Oh
Because
man, you
Star
not done it.
Wars.
Oh mate, you missed out on so many good games over the last year. Holy
I know the
shit.
first ones I ever got was Subnautica, and like that was a lot of fun.
That's a great game.
I really enjoyed that.
My wife has got that artwork for that on her wall. She loves it so much.
Oh wow,
It's
nice.
insane. Yeah, so in her office. Yeah, it's one of the games she really wants us to talk about in the Game Pass Club. So we might have to roll around to that at some point just to keep her happy. Obviously, I played a bunch of Cyberpunk. I obviously played a bunch of Hades as well, and they'll both come up again next week. I have put a lot of time into Stellaris. Stellaris is the most amazing Paradox Interactive 4X game that's out on Xbox and PC, but I was playing on Xbox. I really, really like that port. I think it's done so well, and I set myself a goal of total galactic domination, which was to conquer and or destroy every planetary system on a large map of Stellaris, and I did it. And I played as a robot race. I was basically the Borg, i.e. join me or die. At one point, there were 2 federations in the galaxy taking up all the other galactic members, and they were all at war with me at once, and I still stood on their faces.
Resistance is futile.
Yes, it was. It was very futile. I enslaved their asses. I made them basically cattle in my war machine, and just churned their bodies into dust. It felt great. So Stellaris is genuinely one of the best games I've played. I love it so much. You could just lose days to that game. Days and days and days. It's fantastic. What I do is I have it on this monitor, and on this monitor I put Netflix on. And it's just it was so chill over the holidays. It's just like losing days to like watching movies and TV shows and playing Stellaris and just
See, this is why I have 3 PC monitors.
It's the way to do it, man. Multiple screens is the way.
I've got one.
No, you need to sort yourself out. Multiple screens, man. It's the
multiples,
way. Honestly. And then, I fell in a hole, guys. And I even spent money on the Ultimate Team. Not a lot, about £3, but I did buy points and purchase some packs in FIFA 21. This is the first year I've ever got into Ultimate Team. Weirdly, I own every FIFA.
I told you enough for that.
On the Xbox generation, the last generation, and now this generation. Don't know why. I know I got sent quite a few for review over the years. I know that, but so it could have been that as well. But I really like a good game of FIFA. Right? I'm not someone who watches a lot of football, but I've always enjoyed playing the FIFA games, always, and this is no different. And this is the first year I've got into Ultimate Team, and it's really addictive because there's so much sort of like strategy to how you compose your teams, how you do your formations with the different chemistries and all this crap. I won't go into it too deeply, but it looks incredible on the new hardware. They've done like with the new upgrade that they put out for the X and S. It looks insane. It runs really buttery smooth. It just looks real. It looks like when you turn on TV and watch a game of football. It's freaky how good it is.
It's boring.
It's not boring. It's not boring when you play online against real people. Trust me, I've had some nail biters. I went 3-0 down. I went in one game. 3-0 down. I went in 30 minutes, and I pulled it back. And in the 90th minute, I scored a goal to go 4-3 up, and the guy rage quit on me. I was like, yes.
Would have been better if it was Quidditch.
Can you bear with me for 1 minute, then?
Sorry?
Can you bear with me 1 second? That's all that did to me.
And I would agree with you most of the time. I would. But sometimes
That's the man who
a little
paid
bit
for
of
Ultimate
football-
Team.
Yeah, I know, but sometimes a little bit of footy, it's nice. It's still, you understand the game. This is what's nice, right? Playing Stellaris, playing this, playing Hades. They're all mechanics that are inherently easy to understand, right? That once you get the hang of it and you get into it, they're all game types that I'm very familiar with. And when you just want to relax and you want to put some Netflix on, you want to chill over Christmas and New Year, you go. I found myself wanting to go to those comfortable staples and just, not challenging myself, just chilling the fuck out. And and that's what I did, and that's why I went to those games. What about you, Cam?
So like I said before, I played through The Forest, which was great. I've kind of gone back to Assassin's Creed Origins.
Ooh.
I was looking for something, nice and big to play, and I didn't really have anything that I was really interested in playing. But I gave up on Origins ever since they kind of changed that play style of leveling up your character and everything in Assassin's Creed.
When I first played Origins, the same as you, I found it really jarring how different it was.
Yeah, I mean, I was jumping on people from like 30 feet up and stabbing them in the head, and they weren't dying. And I was like, what the fuck is even that,
Yeah.
I was speaking to a friend, and we kind of he just kind of changed my perspective on it. It's like, just think of it doing it this way instead, And then I started playing it again. I was like, you know what? Yeah, I think I just needed a perspective change before really attempting at it again. So, yeah. Just think about it I can't think of it as like a straight up Assassin's Creed game anymore.
Yeah.
It's an RPG. Get used to it.
That's exactly what I was going to say. They aren't really Assassin's Creed games. They are just set in that universe, in that scenario, in those settings, with that sort of storyline. It's
so
just
one
a
of the
different type of game.
I'm
It's
getting
really good.
through it. Yeah.
What's interesting, Cam, is that the Valhalla guys are the same guys as the Origins guys, right? And so it's the same developer, because Odyssey was a separate one within Ubisoft. But what they did, there's an option you can toggle in the menu, so you can turn it so that your Hidden Blade assassinations are always one-hit kills. So they clearly listened to that feedback that you just said and was like, well, people expect to be able to one-hit kill someone with a Hidden Blade in Assassin's Creed. We'll give them the option. And it says, this isn't how the game has been designed, but if you want, you can have it. And you can turn it on and just always instant assassin people, yeah. So that's cool, isn't it, that they listen to that?
Yeah.
That's nifty. I like that.
I played a bit more Dead Cells as well. That was a fun game.
Oh my god, Rob, have you done Dead Cells?
Nope.
See, if you love Hades, right?
I
check out
haven't
some
completed Hades yet.
No, but Dead Cells is like 2D Hades, not rather than isometric side on, because they're both 2D, of course. Yeah. Hades is still 2D, but it's you know what I mean. But it's not full 3D models, right? Is what I'm trying to say. Okay. But Dead Cells is 2D side on sprites, and it's so fucking good. Tell me you love it, Cam.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because my friend, he was playing through like Demon Souls Remaster and everything. I was like, I need to get like my Demon Souls or Dark Souls fix on it, And this is, it is a very similar, you die, go back to the beginning, start your run again sort of thing. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. The art style of it's really interesting. I haven't gotten great at it yet, but I
take some practice.
But I do okay. Yeah, I do all right at it. And because I've been working at home with the old work laptop right here as well, I've been playing some games on the PC whilst working that aren't too invasive, so I don't have to pay full attention. And I was having a little hunt around on GOG, the great cheap website that it is.
So good.
And I bought like 6 out of like the 10 LucasArts point-and-click adventure games.
It's not like you bring these up on every podcast, so I'm not surprised.
But the ones I got though, to tie into our previous story, was a couple of the Indiana Jones LucasArts
very good games,
point-and-click games. Yeah, and it was I got the Last Crusade and the Fate of Atlantis, which were really interesting and quite well written.
Fate of Atlantis is brilliant.
It was awesome. And I got the bad ending.
Oh no!
I didn't realize. Some of the other ones I got like Zack McCracken and the Alien Mindbenders, which is an incredible title in its own.
Yeah, that title wins points already. Jeez.
Have you done Grim Fandango, Full Throttle, Day of the Tentacle?
Day of the Tentacle and Maniac Mansion. I've done Full Throttle as well. Because all of these games are games from my childhood. I used to sit around with my sister and my brothers, sit on the PC and work together to figure out the puzzles. The most recent one I got, which I completely forgot even existed, was the point and click of Sam and Max Hit the Road.
Mm-hmm.
Which is that zany cartoon comedy from like the 90s.
Isn't that because Telltale did a Sam and Max game, didn't they?
They did, but it was very much like 3D modeling and everything
Yeah,
for it.
this was still 2D. Yeah, this one.
Oh, yeah.
Early days. Yeah.
And it works brilliantly. It's zany, it's funny, it's crazy. I adore it. I can't believe I forgot this thing even existed.
GOG is just the shit, man. If you want to take a trip down memory lane and delve back into the PC games of I mean, I've got a big old library on there, mostly of games I bought because I was like, oh yeah, I remember, I love that. And have I ever played them again since? No, of course not. But I've just rebought my childhood on GOG a couple of times now, and it's just so hard to resist, especially as they also did like huge sales over Christmas, didn't they? Like massive sale. So it's just like, oh my god.
Even what's cool actually. Come back to Project Red. GOG's app. I forgot what the app is. Galaxy. Yeah. Thank you. I've just managed to claim the original Witcher from that for free.
Mm-hmm. Galaxy is really cool actually. Galaxy is their way of trying to bring together. Bring together. There are integrations in there trying to bring together all the storefronts. So you can put Xbox on it, you can put PlayStation on it, you can put Epic on there, you can put Steam on it. You can connect them all, so you can combine all your libraries. So you can't necessarily play. You know, if you try and play a Steam game, it will launch Steam and then launch the game. But you can at least see everything. And the other thing they've done recently is relatively recently was integrate Xbox's friends list, so you can actually see who's online on Xbox even when you're just looking at your GOG Galaxy client. And it's just a really nice idea to try and bring all of those together into one place, because clearly that is one of the problems nowadays, is that I've got like 5 games on Origin, I've got 6 games on Uplay. Who gives a fuck? Seriously. And it's just like, why do you make me use that? Origin, EA has now acknowledged that fact. And it's like, oh no, we're just going to put everything on Steam now. Yeah, Origin's stupid, sorry. It's like, yes, who the fuck wants another installer on their fucking computer? It's so annoying.
I'm now going to reference another installer.
Go on.
Something that I recommend, especially during like lockdown and periods of time like this, to play these sorts of games, is something called BlueStacks. I use it to play. I
always see you on that.
Game. Yes, it is an Android game emulator.
Oh, you dodgy boy.
No, it's completely legit. I play a hideously microtransactioned game called Marvel Strike Force.
Oh no! There's the irony.
Yeah, there's the irony.
There's the cat.
Yeah, there is the cat, and there is him going off the desk.
Bye, podcast cat.
And it's one of those hero collector games. So, you collect shards of this hero to upgrade them into that. And it's backed by Marvel, so it's all official. So you have a proper, like, threaded storyline, all of it. It's really, really good fun, and it is completely free. All of the payments are optional. But
so I was going to say, do you with this emulator, you're like buying the Android app like you would, and then install the app, the APK?
BlueStacks is free. So what you can turn around and do is install BlueStacks, and any of those free-to-play but accelerated by microtransaction games that you see, you can play on there. And during a time of lockdown, something like that, you may not be able to log into a game every 4 hours when your energy recharges or whatever during a normal day, but during lockdown, you can. So if you have ever been curious or want to be able to turn around and do those sorts of games, something like BlueStacks on a PC, doesn't need a lot of graphical power to run, is really, really good fun. So it enables you to play games that you would otherwise struggle to put the time investment into.
I'm just looking at my task bar right now. So I've got Epic, GOG Galaxy, Steam. Oh, Twitch. I have the Twitch launcher because I have all those Twitch Prime games, which there's now, I've been doing that for so long, I've got about 300 games on Twitch Prime, where I've just, every so often you'll go on there and there'll be I check it pretty much every other day, because there's no logic to when they put up more games for free, but I've got absolutely loads on there, so I have to have a separate launcher for those, and then I've got Xbox ones down there, I've got, Uplay and Origin. It's like, for crying out loud, like, can we not just put them all in one place?
No, so because they're all trying to compete with each other.
Because it's all this nutty, we want a slice of the money. You know, it's the whole problem we've got with Ubisoft has now started this initiative, haven't they, with AC Valhalla, where it's like cross-save across platforms. But you obviously still need to buy the game on all the platforms. Exactly. And it's like, it's so dumb. Let me buy it in one place and have it everywhere. God's sake. Yeah. So
Right.
too many installers.
So-
First world problem. End of the
Sounds like
episode.
some sort of cloud gaming server might actually be useful there, Ben.
Oh, did you want to mention your little personal news story at the end here, which I'm not sure is actually legitimate, but go for it anyway.
Why not? I mean, if you're going to be that petty about it.
Ben, petty? No.
No. I mean, it just sounds like there's this new story that come out that we're just not entirely sure how well it's actually going to run. That's the thing. I'm
not entirely sure it's real, but anyway.
So I'm an avid gamer of like cloud-based gaming. I think it works quite well. I've tried GeForce Now. Google Stadia works quite well. This new thing coming out called Shadow Boost, which is cloud gaming, which is apparently going to be a lot less restrictive than like anything from Stadia or GeForce Now, and enables you to access for everything that you have from like your Steam library, Epic Games, all the stuff that you've claimed, for example, on Epic Games, isn't all available on GeForce Now. You know, I can't play some games from my Epic Games that I want to play. Whilst this one, apparently, you kind of rent out a high-end computer essentially for a certain. There's the different tiers of like how powerful you're gonna get depending on how graphically enhanced it is. You know, and then play your games through that PC from your mobile device or from your computer at home. It sounds like a good idea. But you know, whether or not it's going to be too expensive or like if there's actually any games worth paying on these, that's the thing.
I think it's a great idea, but GeForce Now obviously it was a lot more open, and then the publishers kind of went and the developers and the platform holders went, hold on, what are they doing? And they basically closed it all down and ended up putting loads of restrictions in and preventing you from doing kind of what you just described. So I don't see why they would treat this one any different. Like, they would find legal ways of preventing it because they're not getting the cut they want. So it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It'd be lovely if it works and they let it keep it up and stuff, but the idea of not having to have that high-end rig, but it's a cost benefit, isn't it? You have to weigh it up. Like, okay, initial outlay would be more for me to build my rig, but then I'm paying, or I can pay 25 quid a month to have a virtual one, you know. And then I've got latency stuff to deal with as well and things like that. So it's like, what's more important to you? I'm old school, I guess. I'd rather have my own rig, but I can understand that's not an option for a lot of people. Don't know, man. Keep an eye on it. Do keep us updated, Cam.
Yes, please do keep us updated.
I want to try Amazon Luna. I want to give that a go at some point because that one isn't going to let you play everything, but it has a library of games that you can try. But I'm thinking, Amazon, you've got the AWS, huge network infrastructure. If anybody can stream stuff well, it would be those guys. And Stadia obviously does things well. So you're talking about these guys are much smaller. How's their infrastructure going to be? I wonder. So do let us know if it ever gets into beta and stuff and is able to be tested and tried and
indeed
and give it a go. But yeah, I think that brings us to the end of a rather mammoth episode. I think we've gone on for the most part of 2 hours.
2021 episode there.
Yes.
A bumper episode welcoming us back into your podcast devices and your ear holes and so on.
I was about to do something really potentially offensive and say hello in Japanese because we actually weirdly have a really large listenership in Japan. I don't know why. If you listen in Japan, please tweet me and just tell me what's the deal.
And where can they tweet you, Ben?
You can
how
tweet
can they
us.
get hold of you?
Look at that. It's perfect, wasn't it? Wasn't that perfect? I teed you up. Yeah, put him up. This alley-oop. And it's so you can tweet us at Experience Kills, or you can tweet at me at DIYE, and there's Rob at Homeless Mr. Gibbs, and Cameron at Camelot, which is always really hard to find on my Twitter for some reason. It's like it never recognizes you as a valid account, Cameron. I don't know what you've done with your
Twitter
account.
thinks he's a bot.
Maybe it's just like, looking at the way he's posting history, this guy can't be a real human. No chance. No way.
Maybe you've just blocked me.
It wouldn't be that surprising. You please give us a like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. We've now hit over with our big milestone of 1,000 subs. Super exciting. Really happy about that. From now on, it's kind of like I'm not looking at numbers so much and like not aiming at a particular target and stuff. But we've already picked up another 40 or 50 since hitting that, which is great in the new year. So that's really nice to see lots of people coming on board. the other most important thing is, and where most people will check this out because of the length of this, will be on the audio version that's available on podcasts. And basically, you can get that from iTunes, Google, Spotify, anywhere, basically. Alexa, you name it. You see it lit up when I said it. She knows. You can get this podcast literally anywhere you can find podcasts now. I put it on every bloody platform possible. And that's doing really well. Like I said, Japan love it. The Americans love it. I know that's our sexy British voices. I'm fairly certain that's what doing that. But yeah, and then the Brits. Some Brits check it out as well. But in third place, like, come on guys, step it up. Yeah, what's going on? Yeah, we're all over the place, and I really hope, fingers crossed, we can come back next week with our Game of the Year podcast. That will obviously be, regarding health issues and stuff. So that may be delayed another week or whatnot. But much love and support going out to Richard and his, who are having a less than optimum time right now. But it just shows you that it's real and it can affect anyone, and it sucks. But yeah, that's another episode of Experience Kills, boys. Anything I've forgotten to add? I think I've covered it all at night. I'm a bit rusty. I've been off a month.
We've covered all and more.
All and have a lovely one, guys. See you all next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
And as they say in Japan, itsumo osawe ni natte orimasu, which means thank you for your continued support. That's it.
Thank you.
Hopefully I didn't
Bravo.
offend
Bravo.
anybody by saying it.
That was
right.
actually not the worst accent I've heard as well. It wasn't super
Yeah.
offensive, so good job.
Yeah. Wonderful.
As if Cameron's synonymous with offensive. That's thanks for that.
No, really? No.
We've seen the WhatsApp group. Anyway.
Just watch that Hunt Showdown video.
We shall see you all next week, ladies and gentlemen.
Bye.
Bye-bye for now.